Welcome back to another video on Excellence of Sports. Make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Another week, another episode of TNA Impact just capped off, and another recap. So the show starts off with Masha Slamovich cutting the promo, and they had already announced she was starting a show. Had a good match against Cora Jade at Sacrifice. Masha Slamovich, the promo was pretty solid. Then Tessa Blanchard, she ended up interrupting it, but Tessa Blanchard didn't really do that great. Like, Tessa Blanchard has a lot better promos than this, so I don't know what happened tonight. But tonight just wasn't that great. And then JC Jane attacked Masha Slamovich for some reason. So if Cora Jade couldn't beat Masha, what's the point of JC Jane attacking her? I really don't know. It's really confusing, and it didn't really make sense because they obviously gonna do Masha and Tessa Blanchard. I don't know why you just don't build that up. I think throwing in JC Jane is just stalling that match for whatever reason. And that's going to be a big match. And Masha Slamovich versus Tessa Blanchard, that can main event a pay-per-view in TNA. So obviously they're going to build it up. But I think throwing JC Jane in here just to take a loss next week, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And Santino already banned Tessa from ringside, which I guess is good. So it means that it won't be any outside interference. So obviously Masha Slamovich is going to win next week. And I don't even think the match is for the title. But this whole segment was just kind of bad. Then Santino, he was pissed off at Ariana Grace. She's like, she didn't know anything about it. So it was kind of confusing. Like, the way the show started was very confusing. It ended up picking up in the second half of the show. The second half is where the show really picked up. But the first half, it was a lot of questionable decisions. Then you had the Northern Armory versus the Rascals in what was a good tag team match. The Northern Armory, they used illegal tactics as heels do. But the Rascals even did the same thing, because the Rascals, they're one of the best tag teams, if not the best tag team in TNA, so they know how to get wins. So they use the same underhanded tactics that the Northern Armory did. Then the Rascals ended up getting the win. Eric Young, he was on commentary after the match. He got in the ring, him and the Northern Armory, they surrounded the Rascals. Then Ace Austin came out there to help. I thought the Ace Austin Rascals thing was just a one-off, so they could feud with Wes Lee, Tyson, and Tyreek, because they had history with Wes Lee. I think this is pretty silly because obviously Ace Austin and Chris Bay, ABC, they done went to wars with the Rascals. So the fact he's still teaming up with them, even though this has nothing to do with him now, like with Wes Lee, it made sense because they have history. But I think this is just stupid, and they don't have anything else for Ace Austin to do, which is why they're doing this. But logically, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So when Chris Bay comes back, will ABC even be a thing, considering what those teams put each other through? And I don't know what Chris Bay's recovery timeline is, so prayers up to him, wishing him a speedy recovery. But having Ace Austin just teaming up with the Rascals to continue, it doesn't make sense. I thought it should have just been a one-time thing so they could build up that feud with Wes Lee, Tyson, and Tyreek. I didn't think this would still continue, so I'm kind of confused. Then she had Gia Miller. She interviewed Zara Brookside backstage, and I like Zara Brookside. I I like her character, but this promo was bad. This is definitely one of her worst promos. I didn't enjoy this at all. And then you had the segment ended up being saved by Rosemary appearing on the TV screen backstage, and basically just it's like this dark promo that fits her character really well. Like, Rosemary is really great, and I think she's doing a great job elevating Zara Brookside in their feud. And I definitely see them having a match again where Zara Brookside gets the win. But essentially, it's just that Zara Brookside isn't ready yet, and she's not willing to go that extra mile to get wins the same way that Rosemary does or Savannah Evans does, because she hesitates. When she had the chance to hit Rosemary with the chain last week, she didn't. She hesitated. And even though she would have got disqualified, it would have gave her some edge to her character, shows that she's not afraid of anything. So then Rosemary, she challenged her to a match. So then later in the night, it was Rosemary and Savannah Evans versus Zara Brookside and Lee Ching Lee. And that's where the show picked up, but I'll get to that in a second. Then you had the First Class Penthouse segment. AJ Francis is amazing. He does a great mic work. KC Navarro is also pretty decent. You had Chavo Guerrero come out, Chavo Guerrero Jr. come out there and interrupt. And on TNA's Instagram, they posted uninvited guest Chavo Guerrero. But so if you know who the guest is, how are they uninvited? That logic in wrestling, oh my goodness, it's so hard. logic in wrestling just doesn't exist, I guess. And Chavo being out there, I mean, it's in El Paso, so I guess. But then you have Frankie Kazarian snatch the mic from Frankie Kazarian and talk about something from 2012. That was 13 years ago. Frankie is the Call Your Shot Gauntlet winner, and you have him feuding with Chavo Guerrero randomly, but he's not making any intentions of going after the world title. Like, he can cash in on Joe Hendry anytime he wants to win that world championship. But you have him doing side quests for no reason. Because then you had Octagon Jr. and Laredo Kid come out there to stand side by side with Chavo. Then Chavo challenged them to a 6-man tag team Lucha Rules match next week, which it will be a decent match at worst. Like, I don't think it'll be a bad match. But Frankie Kazarian is your Call Your Shot Gauntlet winner, but you're not even making that known. Like, you have him feuding with Chavo Guerrero Jr. about something that happened 13 years ago. Why does it still matter now? It's not. That don't make any type of sense to me. And then next you had Mustafa Ali versus Mike Santana in their rematch. And then Mike Santana, he came through as he does always, comes through the crowd, and then he just started beating up on Mustafa Ali. Like, he really blindsided him. Like, Mustafa Ali seen him coming, but he rushed into the ring, started beating him down. And then once he got him in the ring and the match actually started, Mike Santana did some good moves. Ali did some solid moves. He wasn't able to do too much, but then Mustafa Ali left, and he went through the arena and ended up getting counted out because he was like, already beat Mike Santana, this and that, which obviously he had help to beat him, which it made sense for Ali's character. So then Mike Santana wins the match by countout. This really pissed me off because this is terrible 50-50 booking. If you're going to do some 50-50 booking, just let Mike Santana get the pin. That way you can do a third match. And after the third match, there's no excuse. Or just let Mustafa Ali get the win again. Have him put his feet on the ropes or something like that. Like, what's the point of them having this match? Mike Santana showing all this aggression just for Ali to take a count out. Now it's split 1-1. So now you have no choice but to do a third match. Mike Santana lost because there was other people interfering. Mike Santana, people talk about these wrestlers that are so protected, like Rhea Ripley in WWE calling her Rhea Hogan. Well, look at Mike Santana. This is the same guy that just ran through the system last year in TNA. This is the same guy who they let beat, Josh Alexander, and he ran through the Northern Armory. This is a guy that's very protected in the wrestling, and and Mike Santana is great. I love Mike Santana. I've been messing with him since the LAX days. But at this point in his career, he does not need to be protected like this. You could have had Mustafa Ali beat him clean at Sacrifice and move on from this. But now you're dragging it out, which I expected them to, because you can't just have them move on. But why not let Mustafa Ali just get the win again? Why not have him pin him by putting his feet on the ropes or grabbing his tights? Do something that a heel does. That's the point of the heel. They cheat to get wins. They don't get clean wins. Mustafa Ali doesn't have to win clean. He just lost in a stupid way, so it's tied 1-1 now. And they're going to run a third match, probably at Rebellion or whatever their next pay-per-view is. And Mustafa Ali is going to get the win again. And Mike Santana is going to be mad again. But you have to end it. Like, you can't keep dragging this. If you're going to drag the feud, at least make it make sense. If you're going to do a count-out win, a count-out loss like that, have them fighting on the outside of the ring and it's a double count-out where they just aren't paying attention. Or it's a 9-count and then Mike Santana gets in the ring and Ali doesn't. Have it be something like this. This is a dumb way to do a count-out. Him just walk out of the ring. And this was a good match. And then the fact that Mike Santana didn't actually want to press him about it and he just took the free win doesn't show me much. Like, a Mike Santana is just a guy that always wants to fight. He's just crash dummy, apparently. Why didn't he crash out when Mustafa Ali left the ring and walked to the back? Doesn't make sense. This is a terrible way to do 50-50 booking, and everything does not need to be 50-50 booked. There's plenty of people on the roster that Ali can feud with. There's plenty of stuff you can do. Give Mike Santana a break. He can take a break. He does a lot for TNA. He did a lot for TNA. He deserves a break at this point. And there's plenty of stuff you can do with Mike Santana. You can have him team up with the Rascals instead of Ace Austin. Because Ace Austin teaming up with them doesn't make sense, considering that the Wes Lee, Tyson, and Tariq feud is over. But if if it ends with them in a triple threat match against Joe Hendry for the world title, I'm not mad at it, because the commentators made it clear they both want to go after the world championship, which would be cool if he did a triple threat with that. But I don't like how they're booking this feud. And I love Mike Santana, but they're definitely overprotecting him for no reason. And then Tasha Steelz, she crashed out on Gia Miller, who was trying to get answers from Ali. Like, he's a heel. Obviously, he's going to run away. Ali, the good hands, and Tasha Steelz, and they got in the car. They went off. That's basically the end of that. Now, this is where the show starts to pick up. Nick Nemeth and Ryan Nemeth, they came out there. They basically explained what they did. And Nick was like, when I came to TNA, people started talking about TNA again. Because it was a stretch where people weren't talking about TNA. And Nick was absolutely right about that and what he said. So it was definitely a stretch where people weren't talking about TNA like that. Then when he came, people started talking about it more. People started paying attention again. And he was like, the Hardy Boys stole all that credit. They stole all that shine. Which is kind of true in a sense, because they came over from AEW to TNA. As Nick, he came from WWE to TNA. So they both came from different promotions, and they helped TNA in different ways. And he felt like the Hardys took a lot of credit for it. And then he mentioned how Matt disrespected his brother in front of his face. Like, I knew that was going to come back into play at some point when Matt said nobody likes his brother. Like, that's family. It's family above all. So obviously Nick going to protect his younger brother Ryan, and that's what it led to. And then Leon Slater interrupting this was good, because the Hardy Boys had been there for him so many times. Leon Slater had to be there for them, so he came out there and he was like, y'all tripping, y'all crazy, this and that. And Leon Slater cut a good promo. Like, he got an accent, so sometimes it's not always easy to understand him. But Leon Slater does a good job on the mic, and he went into a 1-on-2 situation against Ryan and Nick Nemeth, and then he ended up getting put down. But he had a match against Nick next week, and Nick could obviously win. But this is good, because it's showing, they're letting Leon Slater show some character development. He's showing good progress. Like, he's been good in TNA. He just got there in October of last year, and he's progressing really well and really fast. Like, he's going to be a future X Division champion. He's going to be a multiple-time X Division champion. I really like what they're doing with Leon Slater. And then Ryan and Nick, they're definitely going to be the next tag team champions. I definitely see that, them taking those from the Hardys. And then you had the tag team match with Rosemary and Savannah Evans versus Zara Brookside and Li Ching Lee. This was a good tag team match. I enjoyed this. Zara Brookside, she had some cool moves to get the match started, showing that she's not the underdog. That's essentially what she's trying to do. Then Li Ching Lee and Savannah Evans, they had a feud dating back not too long ago. So it made sense that these were the four in the match. Those were who they decided to be as their partners. Then when Rosemary tried to miss Zara Brookside, she ended up getting Savannah Evans on accident. So Li Ching Lee and Zara Brookside were able to get the win. This was a good tag team match. Obviously, like I said, the promo Zara Brookside cut earlier in the night was not good at all. But this match was good, so I'm not too mad. Like I said, I like Zara Brookside, probably my favorite knockout in TNA. And then Li Ching Lee, she was able to get the pin over Savannah Evans, like I said, to get the win. And then next, you had a really good segment with Ash and Heather by Elegance, their championship celebration. Then the Meta Girls interrupting it, because it came out at Sacrifice after the match. So that was a good touch. So obviously they want to be next, or you thought they would be next in line, because then Spitfire, they came out there and they're like, we're contractually obligated to get a rematch for our titles. Which is true, but y'all done ran this match a few times. I think it's time to get it up. And then Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley came out there, and then this is where it really picked up. And then, like, all the teams did pretty good mic work in this segment. Then all four teams, they ended up brawling, so Santino had to come out there with the security and break this up. Then Santino was like, it'll be the Elegance brand versus Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. And then Spitfire, the Meta Girls, they banned from ringside. The Meta Girls heard that, and they started taking out security. They took out everybody. So then you had Ariana Grace. She come out there, and then she was like, you know, y'all are my besties, but I hate to do this. Y'all are banned from ringside. And it's so, it plays into this partnership so much more, because the NXT people are more likely to listen to Ariana Grace than they are Santino, because Lash and Jakar got in Santino's face. So that's when Ariana Grace had to come out there, and she was like, y'all can't be at ringside next week. So that's why Spitfire didn't do anything. They didn't press any other security because Santino said it. But the Meta Girls didn't listen until Ariana Grace came out there. So I feel at some point NXT and TNA got to do a collab. They got to do a pay-per-view together, do some type of invasion angle, because it'll be really cool because it shows the dynamic of Ariana Grace and Santino, because Ariana Grace, she has that type of pull and that type of power to where she can work with both brands. So shout out to Ariana Grace. That segment was really great. And then, so yeah, you're getting the Elegance brand versus Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley next week. I think it's just a regular tag team match. I don't think the title's on the line, but it should be a fun one. Then you had Mance Warner versus Mango. Crazy name, Mango. But Mance Warner, he ended up winning. It was a squash match. Then you get to the main event of Elijah and Joe Hendry teaming up to take on Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers at a system with Alicia Edwards. Obviously, Alicia Edwards got involved multiple times in the match, but Joe Hendry and Elijah would end up winning. It was a basic tag team match. It wasn't bad by any means, but it wasn't like this phenomenal tag team match, phenomenal tag team showing. But Joe Hendry and Elijah do have pretty solid chemistry in the ring together, like as a tag team. So we obviously know what this is going to lead to with Elijah and Joe Hendry. But this was a good tag team match. Joe Hendry ended up getting the win. Another week, another Joe Hendry win. He's consistently wrestling. He's putting on good matches. But I'm surprised that the feud is still going on with the system and Joe Hendry and Elijah. But Joe Hendry's consistently putting on good matches, defending his title on the shows, cutting promos. So Joe Hendry does it all. He's really great for TNA. But for this, I give this TNA a 7 out of 10 rating. The beginning of the show was pretty weird to start off, but it picked up in the second half and it became a lot better. So, 7 out of 10. It was enjoyable. It was a good show tonight. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment what y'all thought of Impact tonight. Peace.